Blog Talk Radio.
Edition of the Free American Hour. I am your host. I am Clay Douglas. And, let me see here. We've got some interesting things happening today. My guest is Me Sah, spiritual medium, preacher, psychic, a list is too long to go into. And if you go to my website, I've got some things up there that you need to know. And I'm going to even do this to set the tone for it. I've just said that up on the website that the Second American Revolution has begun. And it will be televised right here. Now, this is right at the top of my site, folks. I said I've been in odds with Alex Jones over his reluctance to discuss the Jewish influence and control of our media, Congress, our Senate, Supreme Court, Israel, and our banking system in the past. But that is over as far as I'm concerned right now. Whoop, hold on, excuse me just a second here. Let me repeat that. Me Sah is my guest today, spiritual medium. And what I'm sharing with you right now and recording comes right from my website, right at the top. The Second American Revolution has begun, and it will be televised right here. I've been at odds with Alex Jones over his reluctance to discuss the Jewish influence and control of our media, Congress, our Senate, Supreme Court, Israel, and our banking system in the past. But that is over as far as I'm concerned right now. He nails it with this broadcast. And I say we should put our disagreements and differences in the past and work together with Alex and Ron Paul to make this our line in the sand. I am in Austin right now, and my books are published by the Texas Independence Movement. We have to work together to make this happen. And in Texas, the total number of signatures for the secession petition is 111,038. Georgia is right behind us with 50,000, South Carolina 37,000, Louisiana 35,000, Florida 33,000, Missouri 32,000. There's a total of 853,044 signatures up right now. Alex, would you mind saying a couple of words on the Free American Show for me right now? I'd really appreciate it.
Alex Jones here from Infowars.com. Today on my syndicated radio broadcast, I open the show by saying it would be the most important radio show I've ever done in my 17 years on air. Because I knew what I was about to say would send shockwaves across the United States and the world. Because I understand the sentiment of the American people, and I understand the criminals that are in charge of the hijacked federal government. I said it is time for the Second American Revolution. And I detailed in 3 hours with constitutional lawyer and advisor to Ron Paul, Edward Vieira, Ron Paul's former chief of staff, Lou Rockwell, and others, a battle plan. They confirmed and agreed with my plan, which is the Constitutional Declaration of Independence-based plan, that it's now time to officially launch the Second American Revolution. A cultural revolution. Mao had his communist revolution, cultural revolution. We have our liberty-based constitutional cultural revolution. We have the remedy in the Declaration of Independence, July 4th, 1776, to restore the Republic today. We do not want to secede from the Union to destroy the Republic, but to restore it. We are seceding from the globe. We are seceding from world government and the mega banks and special interests that Ron Paul talked about yesterday in his farewell address. We are pointing out the fact, the self-evident fact, that foreign mega banks have hijacked our federal government and are bankrupting the country to bring us into economic slavery, as they've done Europe. They're bragging about it. We have an article at Infowars.com that the Drudge Report is linked to with a headline, talk show host calls the Second American Revolution, and I lay out in text the plan to use the Declaration of Independence and the state constitutions of nullification to have the state legislatures, if they're not in session in some areas, emergency recall to point out the warrantless wiretapping, the secret arrest, the NDAA, the bankruptcy courts we're on, all the bailouts, all the criminality, and to say we are seceding from the criminal federal government that itself been hijacked to reconstitute the real republic with the authority of the states and to remove the criminals that run this nation. To kick the Federal Reserve and its private shareholders back to Europe. To arrest the criminal lobbyists that have been selling out our nation. It's either that or they're going to bankrupt the country and bring us under economic domination and back that up with a paramilitary system of homeland security that is there to absorb the old republic into this empire. Our country has already been taken over. I want to secede back to the republic, back to our nation. The New World Order has taken over. We're not fighting just some corrupt politicians, and it's a little political issue. We have serious, hardcore authoritarians, Ron Paul called them yesterday, authoritarian psychopaths in control. We know what tyranny is historically. This is the worst case I've ever seen, and it's growing and coming to fruition very, very quickly. So the answer is bold offensive with what our forebears gave us, states' rights, to begin the movement. And I want Ron Paul to lead it. We're drafting Ron Paul and Campaign for Liberty. They have all the contacts. They know who the patriots are, and the legislatures, the good governors, and other members of Congress. We can start having big meetings to iron out a Declaration of Independence, a re-upload of America. Wipe out the globalists, kick them out. They're illegitimate. They're fraudulent. Restore the republic. But first, we've got to reboot the computer. Reboot the republic. Declaration of Independence 2.0. Go to Infowars.com, get the articles, the breakdowns. I laid it out today on the radio 3 hours. Those audio streams are going out. They're posted at prisonplanet.tv. And you get this idea out to your prison family. Go to the White House website. Do your own petitions to reinstall the Declaration of Independence and to reboot the country, because that will then get media attention. This has gone viral. Let's have it go ultra-viral. Alex Jones signing off for Infowars.com.
All right. Well, again, I've said Alex and I have been kind of at odds, and I can actually understand that. He is married to a beautiful Jewish lady. He has two children by her, and he wants to protect them, and I don't blame him. I don't blame him at all. He may not identify, and he may not talk about the protocols of the elders of Zion, because the elitists that he is talking about hide behind the Jewish people, in my opinion here. And Me Sah is my guest today. We're going to be talking about that. We're also going to be talking in the second half about the alien interview. The alien interview, Ed Roswell, the woman that they communicated with telepathically. And I can tell you, because I happen to know my father-in-law, one of them, one of my ex-father-in-laws, was the Marine Colonel. His name was Lloyd Conrad. He was Colonel Lloyd Conrad, and he escorted this alien that we're going to talk about to Truman's office from Roswell. I asked him if he wanted to be on my show. He just looked at me and laughed, said, "No, I won't live." And he came over to my house one time, and he said, "Well, you're a popular guy, man." The Men in Black showed up after we came by there and asked me why I was talking to Clay Douglas. He said, I said, "What did you tell him?" He said, "I told him I had to. He's my son-in-law."
That's funny.
How you doing, Me Sah?
I'm great. How are you?
Well, I'm just peachy. I'm doing real well. I'm doing real well here. I'm single again, and I don't mind that at all. I don't mind that at all. I want peace and harmony in my home, in my environment, and I got it now.
Peace is important. It's important to have peace, especially in these times, I think. I think it's kind of amazing that there's so many signatures on these petitions. I think that's a really good sign. It means people are paying attention, and they're getting riled up, and they're expressing themselves. And, that's the best thing. That's got to start. You can't change anything you're not aware of. So the people that are willing to become more aware of what's going on and respond to that, I think that's a very good sign. What do you think?
I think so. I think we have had an effect. I think, Ron Paul was a subscriber of mine years ago for 10 years when I was publishing the Free American. So all the legislators got copies of the Free American. And I think I helped educate them, and I think that we've reached out to the people. People are starting to see that we're not kooks, that we're not, we are telling the truth here. What do you think?
I think so, too. I came across a little pamphlet. It was written in, I believe, the 70s, and it was talking about exactly the same thing. When it was written, everybody went, "Ooh, ooh, ooh," But it's absolutely up to date with everything that's going on, and describes it as the power elite, which are backed by the quote-unquote fallen angels, whatever that is, whatever that means, and how that's worked. And I absolutely believe that the real power is hiding behind the Jews that we're talking about, the Rockefellers, the Rothschilds, and using them. And, that's, I think that you have to get to the root of the problem. And to identify who the real power is, I think is really important. And, the people that have been used, the bankers, et cetera, they're not going to want to let go because they've gotten a great deal out of being used. They're paid well to play their part in this theater that we're experiencing.
They get to be the bankers, they get to be the lawyers, they get to be the judges. We've got over half of our Supreme Court are Jews, are elitist Jews. It's people that have been educated through through England, through the City of London, through the Rhodes scholars out there. And, that brings up something else that I wanted to discuss with you. Yeah, I got it on. You provided me with information that our presidents, Bill Clinton, George Bush Jr., and Barack Obama knew they were going to become president because of the CIA Phoenix program that descended from the Montauk Project that incorporated time travel.
Years ago, Clay, this also had to be back in the 70s when I was or maybe the 60s when I was first getting into all of this. And I remember hearing somebody talk about, this was a man that had been in a restaurant.
Okay, hold on just a second.
All right.
Just a second here. We've been blocked here on this thing here. Hang on a second here.
Right.
Yeah, it's they don't want us to do that. They hold on. Let me get back up on a couple of things here.
Okay.
And all right, almost.
Okay.
All right, we're up here, and why is it recording, huh? Okay. Did I lose you? All right, interesting. Hang on. Oh, this is interesting here. All right, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, ma'am. I had to get you on another computer. They blocked everything here. They blocked everything, and all right, we're trying to get back up here on blog TV. Everything went down. My computer was just attacked, folks. It was just attacked, and we got one whole computer went down. The internet went down on it, and just the computer on blog TV. It was just on blog TV. Everything else is working. I separated my computers. I separated them. And we're trying to get everything back up here. pretty interesting, Me Sah. Now, we're still broadcasting, we're still recording on Blog Talk and Crusade and a few other ones, but Blog TV just went down entirely. That's pretty interesting.
Sensitive subject.
And yes, now I won't. We don't have to repeat, but we were just talking. I just mentioned that that our last 4 presidents knew they were going to be presidents when they were still in high school.
I had heard a man talking about, he was in a restaurant, George Bush Sr. was there, Jr. was there as a young child, and Jr. was running around telling everybody, my daddy's going to be president and so am I. My daddy's going to be president and so am I. Now, when I heard that, I knew that, the power elite has very long-range plans and that basically things have been planned out, and I assumed, well, that's the plan. But I didn't realize what they were doing with time and how they were using that time travel to not only peek into the future, but to be able to manipulate it. Because when George Bush Jr. was first elected, I had asked Spirit, who's going to win? And he said, Bush. And there was something about Bush being twice. When he was reelected, I got the same answer from Spirit. There's something about him being in there, not because I'm not saying it's because he was such a great president, but there was something about him being in that position that was going to cause a chain reaction. When Barack Obama was running, and I asked Spirit didn't want Obama in there, neither time. And when he got in, I thought, something was really wrong here, because he was not supposed to get in. And then when I came across this information about the time travel, I thought, oh, that's what they're doing. They can really get in now and change what is going to happen, or what is set up to happen, or what is supposed to happen, or what Spirit wants to happen. There's all this manipulation now that is going on that's possible. So that's scary and fascinating at the same time. The ability to do that. And with the work I do with people, I talk about time travel and utilize that in therapeutic ways, but not to manipulate time in this way. Time there really isn't any time. I mean, everything happens in the now. But to access those interdimensional planes where you can change things to that degree, that's a very sophisticated way of working in other dimensions. So what they were doing at Montauk has become much more sophisticated now. They're still obviously not only able to do it, but they're getting a lot better at it.
Well, from what my research, and this Operation Phoenix is a offshoot of the Montauk Project, where they send the destroyer back in time.
Yep. That was the Philadelphia experiment.
Philadelphia experiment, yes.
Yeah, but it's all kind of part. It's all connected,
And the reports that I've got from the insider, and an insider to that project is one that talked about the chemtrails and geoengineering.
Uh-huh.
And the time travel itself is not totally accurate. It's not. It's not infallible, because we can make changes if we wake up, if we interfere, if we refuse to go along with the plan if we know the plan.
Yes.
And some of us can actually do that without time travel.
That's right. Absolutely.
Some of us can do that on the, let's see, how would we put that? The Akashic records?
Uh-huh. Yep. First of all, we have free will. Second of all, in our consciousness, we have access to all dimensions. And when we learn to access those dimensions and to get our frequency to the point where we can do that, we can go anywhere. We don't need a scientific way to do that. It is a natural ability within the human. But you're right, we have to wake up, we have to access it, we have to know about it, we have to know what we need to do to get to that point. And I totally agree. It doesn't have to happen.
You know, it's, I wrote about a future 45 years ago, sitting in a little prison cell in a Texas prison. I wrote about a future on the only typewriter outside of the farm offices, was the only computer in the whole prison was in my cell. And we wrote about a future that was so far out and so much science fiction that I couldn't even sell it. And I didn't actually, after a while, I didn't want to sell it because I needed a little bit more research. I needed 45 years of research before I would be able to publish it. And I'm doing that now. I'm ready. I'm doing the rewrite. I'm doing the updates. And as I do that, I am just kind of amazed how accurate I was, and how, I mean, I wrote about something that happened 6,000 years ago. I was accurate. I wrote about something that was going to happen 50 years, 60 years in the future, and that's happening now. Ron Paul talked about it, and I'll probably play a clip of him a little bit later here when I get everything working again. And what he talked about is abolishing the laws against victimless crimes. It's happening in Colorado. It's happening in Washington. And if our revolution is complete and we succeed, we'll close down the prison system. We'll abolish the laws against victimless crimes. And it's going to be pretty amazing that the story I wrote about so long ago is actually happening in reality right now.
Science fiction, quote unquote, which probably back then when you wrote that, your book was probably considered science fiction, is often the harbinger of things to come, because you're tuning in somewhere in your consciousness. You're tuning into the pattern that that was created for these things to happen. And somewhere in your consciousness, picking up that information, it's coming through when you're writing about it.
I wonder, I've really asked myself, I mean, am I just crazy here? Do I have a vivid imagination, or am I remembering what happened 6,000 years ago? And the more we find out about DNA, it does go back a lot more than the Bible. It goes back all the way to the beginning, and we've been on this planet for a long time.
Millions.
In my opinion.
Yes. Well, and there's even scientific proof to that. The Bible was written concerning the age of Pisces, the age of Aries and the age of Pisces. It was around 5,000 years. But there were civilizations way before that. There were many, many civilizations. Some of them had some, very, very highly technological golden ages.
And there's more and more and more proof that the archaeologists are finding about that. That's always been a part of metaphysical history, but it's never been accepted by scientists or theologians, Christian theologians or anything like that. But it goes way, 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 way back. The Bible was written specifically for a certain period of time, which, now we're at the end of the age of Pisces, and we're moving into the age of Aquarius, and the Bible talks about the end of the age. It goes up to the end of the age of Pisces, and that's where we're at right now. But there'll be more after that. There was certainly more before that.
I was just reading about a rabbi. Now, this has been adopted by the Zionists, but a rabbi over 300 years ago predicted everything that's happening, predicted the Ottoman takeover of the Jerusalem, of the Palestine, of that area there. He predicted that over 300 years ago, and there's other people that look into the future, like Edgar Cayce.
Yes.
And so it's not beyond the doubt. I no longer feel that I am writing fiction at all. And I told people, my science fiction, my fiction is more believable than my nonfiction. Mystery Babylon is nonfiction. That tells you what's happening there and everything. But the fiction that I wrote 45 years ago, as I go back and read it, I'm kind of blown away. I'm kind of, it's like, God, how did I know that when I was 22 years old? How did I know that? How did I know what was going to happen 50 years from now?
I think that we have access to all of it. And the only reason we don't access it is because the conscious mind believes it's impossible to do it. Imagination is a very, very valuable tool because it frees the mind to go to different places, to create different things, and it's oftentimes very, very real. It's either creating something that will happen or it's tuning in on something that is already patterned to happen. We're taught to believe that imagination is not real, but it's the absolute best way of gaining knowledge. And even Einstein talked about his thought experiments. He discovered a lot of his things through his imagination, not by sitting there with paper and pencil and working out these long drawn theories. He would go into his thought process, allow his imagination to roll, and he would figure these things out. Wonderful tool. Imagination is fantastic.
Yes, they also did that. They also did that with another gentleman did that, and he was 100 years ahead of his time, Nikola Tesla.
Absolutely. Now that gets us around to what the article I came across that I emailed you about these chips that they're going to put in medication. And the company, one of the companies that's going to do this is the company that produces Ritalin, because they don't want these kids thinking like that. They don't want these kids having that. When you're a child and that imagination is so much a part of your world, you live so much in an imaginary, playful part of the world, they want to cut that out. They don't want kids going there. They don't want them tapping into what you tapped into. They don't want them being creative. If they can put these little chips in the pills, give the kids the pills, find out when the kids aren't taking the pills, and then make them take the pills, Ritalin just makes people flat. These kids that are on Ritalin have no emotional spontaneity to them. They're just flat. No creativity. The power doesn't want that. That's a danger.
we lost one of our things here. It looks like we did we? No, it looks still like we're still broadcasting, still recording the wrong post. But they're scared. I think they're scared, Me Sah. I think what's happening here, I don't think they planned for this whole revolution, this whole secession movement. And we've been talking about this. I've been talking with the Republic of Texas for 15 years. I've been talking, that was a movement that they tried to stop. The Texas independence movement, that's happening right now. And by the way, folks, the Texas independence movement are the members of that are the publishers of my books, and I've got 3 of the books. I can't show you all of them right now because we've got a meeting coming up at Truth Seekers meeting, but this is my fiction books, One Bloody Alabaster Eye, Deadly Flashes of Silver. We've also got The True Face of FEMA, which is more important. We're showing that tonight at the Hills Cafe, 4700 Congress in Austin, Texas. We're showing that. And I filmed the first Homeland Security meeting over 10 years ago. It's more relevant today than it was when I filmed it because they said then, in case of a natural disaster of significant magnitude, we'll need 400,000 well-armed, trained, organized, disciplined troops to control the American people. And it's happening right now. Right now, this disaster was engineered. This was HAARP. We saw the broadcast of HAARP in action right there over New Jersey. It was happening then. They engineered this disaster. And matter of fact, I was just listening to somebody else talking about how the disaster in New Orleans from Katrina, it wasn't Katrina. It was not Katrina that did all the damage. It was the Corps of Engineers who allowed the levees to break.
I hadn't heard that. That's interesting. You know, Hurricane Sandy, my sister and I were talking about this yesterday, was much bigger, covered. I think they said 1,000 miles, much bigger than a normal hurricane. And even on PBS last night, the people were complaining, "Where's FEMA? Where's FEMA? They're not to be found. They're not doing much." And then, of course, FEMA said, "Oh, well, you know, we're very overwhelmed and we don't have the people and everything." But FEMA's not much of a presence. The people that are helping there are volunteers that are going in and some of the military, but FEMA doesn't seem to be around much at all.
Well, you know, they were in Miami. They were in Homestead after Hurricane Andrew, and they did do something. They were busy, and I got to hand it to them. You got to give them credit where credit's due.
Yep.
They did come around and pick up the bodies of the looters that we hung on the trees.
Oh.
They were good about that. The National Guard brought in a generator to keep the beer cold at the bar, at the biker bar, where a lot of the residents from Homestead came to camp, and the bikers patrolled the parking lots and helped the people. And the bikers that we ran down a convoy from Fort Lauderdale and took food and diapers and blankets and shelters to the people in Homestead. We were led down by the motormen from the Miami Police Department and the Fort Lauderdale Police Department, and we help people. And that's happening in New York right now. The people and FEMA's trying to stop it. They're trying to prevent it, folks. This is not FEMA is simply, and that's the importance of going to see my film tonight at the Hills Cafe, 7:30. True Face of FEMA is going to be aired. I've got these tapes for sale right now. You can get them right now, man, and you won't believe how accurate it was. I told you what was going to happen. And I had to go up and thank the motorman. I shook the motorman's hand at Homestead, down at Homestead. I said, man, you made a dream of mine come true. I've got to thank you, man. I got to thank you. And they said, well, what's that, Clay? What's that? What was that? I said, what? I said, I told them before we left. I said, now I'm going to be filming this. I'm going to be taking pictures here, and so I'm gonna pass the convoy a few times, and I'll get up ahead and take the pictures. And I said, okay, no problem. We couldn't have made it down there with them because every street sign was blown down. We didn't know. They knew the area better than I did. They let us down to the biker bar there, and they said, well, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? I said, well, I always wanted to blow by a bunch of cops at 100 miles an hour and not get a ticket.
That's funny. You got your chance.
I got my chance. And you know, that's the same thing is happening up in New York. FEMA's not doing anything. They are keeping the people out. They have basically prison camps where they're allowing the workers to go, but they're not allowed to take phones in and all that. The FEMA camps are already set up. They're operational, I believe.
You know, I think it's going to come down to helping people. And we're very used to leaning on the government and thinking that the government is going to come in and help us or save us or whatever. And I think that, you know, that's not, we have to learn to help each other, and that's where the help is going to come. And it's so the situation in New York, I think, is a real eye opener. The devastation is incredible. We're showing some pictures last night I hadn't seen before, and it's incredible devastation. And it's a real educational kind of thing. All of these people have no place to go. They've lost everything. And it's the volunteers. They're coming from all over the country to go to New York to help people. And I think that's what it's going to come down to. Certainly, we're going to see more natural disasters happen. And the government is going to, even if the government was going to help, it's going to be too overwhelmed to do much. So we have to be willing to help each other.
Now, we've got a few more minutes here, and we may be able to stretch this out a little bit. I'd like to, because I'd like to get some more information now. But I want to cover some other things on here, like the Roswell alien interview. Now, they don't want you to know about the aliens. They don't want you to know about the UFO. And the woman that they communicated, they had one woman that communicated telepathically.
Yep.
And the fact that the alien communicated telepathically was confirmed by one of my father-in-laws, Colonel Lloyd Conrad, who is the gentleman, the officer that escorted the aliens from Roswell to Truman's office. And he said they communicated telepathically.
Uh-huh.
So I didn't hear the whole thing. It's linked on my side. It's linked on the area below you. There's like 9 or 10 or more segments of this interview. And it'll be, I'm going to keep it up on my side because it's important that you know that the aliens, the little grays, are not biological entities. They don't have a mouth. They don't breathe. They communicate and they've been around since for eternity, according to them. Now, it's also quite possible that they lie, that they are capable of lying to, and they may have engineered this whole race. They may have done that because their bodies are not capable of the physical labor that we are. We may have been created by them, in my opinion, to be the slave force, to mine the gold. And the gold is what they need. That's what powers that's what gives their immortality. That's what the white gold, white monatomic gold. And I've got Jim Mars is talking about that. It's up on my website too, freeamerican.com. And folks, if you want to keep this kind of information going, I need some support. I need some help. I need some donations. You can buy my books. You can order my books. And that's starting to happen now. People are starting to order the books. They are being printed by the Texas Independence Movement. They are being sold by the one person that's been telling you, and that helped write this. I've been telling you about this for 25 years, man. I brought Alex Jones into it, and as far as I'm concerned, any problems Alex and I have had in the past is over now, because we got a bigger problem and we got to work together. And I don't care whether you're Jewish, I don't care whether you're Muslim, I don't care whether you're Christian, I don't care whether you hug trees. We got to work together because we've got an enemy to defeat. And maybe the Grays are not our friends.
They're not. This interview has a lot of very deceptive information in it. And the Grays have been around for a long time. I agree that we have been genetically modified many times by different alien races on this planet. And basically it was to be a slave race to mine the metals. The Grays are the ones that do the abductions, and they need our DNA because they are dying out because of what happened on their planet. Now, this little Gray that was interviewed by this woman made a lot of deceptive statements and was supposedly channeling information from a space station in the asteroid belt. And we need to be very careful about this because these guys are not friends to us. They need us. We don't need them. They need us. They need what we want. They're abducting people. You know, this little Gray in the interview said, well, we're just observing. Well, that's not true. It's these Grays that are abducting people. The people that are abducted have very traumatic experiences, a lot of pain involved. Nobody comes back saying, oh, it was wonderful, and they're wonderful, and they're going to save us. Not with these little guys. And I've worked with several of these people. They all have deep, deep, deep trauma. And so they're not just observing. This little Gray talked about Moses teaching the monotheistic God, the one God that's up over here, and we can't reach it, so to speak. That was not what Moses ever taught. He said, like Jesus, don't you know you are gods? Don't you know God is in you? He talks about how controlled everything is, that we are totally controlled by these aliens, that we can't get out of it. Even when we die, our soul can't get out of this. We're trapped. We come back. We go back. It's very depressing to see this because it makes you very hopeless, which is what they want. If we believe these lies, if we believe we don't have the spark of God in us and that we can connect with that and that we can absolutely get out of there like Jesus did, then we are vulnerable to their manipulation and their control, is what they're after. So when we read this kind of material, we have to read it, and we have to be able to identify the deception that's going on. And this interview is full of deception. Now, the woman that got the information for us didn't understand that. And what was going on at the time. And I believe she was totally sincere. This little alien was really feeding her a boatload of crap, so to speak. And right from the beginning, because one of the first questions she asked was, do your people know where you are, and how long will it take them to find you? They don't know where we are, and it could take them a very long time to find us. We don't know how long. Well, then, immediately, all of a sudden, this little alien is channeling in the asteroid belt. So this space station knew exactly where this alien was from the get-go. So all through that interview, there's these kinds of discussions going on. But it's a fantastic thing to be reading this and to be reading the thoughts and words of an alien. It's easy to get caught up in it and not look at it objectively and say, well, now, wait, that's what's lied with the fact that it's brought out. So we want to be like not telling her, you know, 50% lies, 50% truth. Always covering up the truth with the lies. It's an interesting interview. I think it's going to get widely read. I hope people don't think these little grays have become rescuers, but they're not. If they come, invite you to go into a spaceship, I wouldn't know. Nobody that I know that's up there has had a very good time or been treated very well. But it's and it's these little grays or who they represent that have made the agreement with our government that will trade technology for being people.
That's right.
And at first it was, well, we're just going to take a few people, you know, but they take whoever they want. The government can't stop it. And they are interbreeding with us. There are many, many women that have been taken up, impregnated, put back on the earth. About the 4th or 5th month of pregnancy, they're taken back up. All of a sudden, there's no fetus in the womb. The baby's gone. They drop the mother back on Earth, and they've got now this hybrid being that is revitalizing their race because they're connecting it with biological DNA, and it's saving them. So they're using us. And
you know, that makes sense. I mean, they've gone after the cattle too, for some of that same reason. That's because the cattle are pretty compatible. The DNA from the cattle is actually pretty compatible with ours, or what they need, what they look for.
Right. Right.
And I think we may have a little bit of connection with the sheep too. So that's but you know, I again the articles that I wrote so long ago, and what I did so long ago is the way I put it is that what we call angels, what we call demons, or what we call gods, were genetically modified humans that were long-lived, and just like the Bible, you know, we could live 1,000 years. We were engineered to live 1,000 years. They don't want us doing that because we gain that kind of knowledge, we gain that kind of power, and we regain our racial memory. They don't love that, do they?
No, and the other thing about this is people cannot discriminate between what is an extraterrestrial, what is an alien, what is an angel, what is an ascended master, what the difference is, who's who and what's what. And people get these things so confused, and they want to say that, they want to throw the baby out with the bathwater, so to speak, and say, now, all of these, there is no God. It's all these aliens. It's these aliens we thought were God. There is God. There is God energy. There is God mind. There is creative force, which we carry in us. There are beings that are beyond having to reincarnate on this planet, that are in their light body. There are these divine beings, like Jesus showed us when he ascended. He's not an alien. If you go to these UFO conferences, I've been to a couple of them, that's enough, and they talk about Jesus coming out of the spaceship saying, you know, I'm your captain, and my name is Sananda. Anytime you hear that name Sananda, that is an imposter. That's not Jesus. Jesus uses his name Jesus. Let me ask you here.
I mean, in my upcoming book that's taken me 40 years of research, I said thousands of years ago the Earth was a different place, a race like no other existed. Theirs was a technology that was ahead of the levels we know of, far ahead of the levels we know of today. They faced a disaster similar to that which killed a dinosaur. They sent their people out into space. Only a few brave souls stayed to help the less advanced inhabitants of the planet rebuild. They were genetically advanced men, almost immortal, incredibly powerful, telepathic, and able to manipulate matter with their minds. They were known as gods, angels, warriors, and demons among the survivors of our planet's encounter with a galactic intruder. The legends and names of these men are scattered throughout our history. Their power grew all pervasive and hidden throughout modern times. Humanity was divided, conquered, and controlled by unseen hands. Today, the balance of power shifted into the hands of the most feared being in history. And that was the co-captain of the Earth ship, the UFO Heaven, that was built by the Atlanteans to keep and maintain the knowledge and supervise the worldwide civilization that they established 25,000 years ago. They used the monatomic gold to levitate the stones that were, come on, guys. A crew of slaves can't lift blocks weighing tons. Those were done by levitation, and actually in my science fiction book, Lucifer was the good guy, and the bad guy was the guy that wanted the god, the man pretending to be a god that wanted to enslave the planet. The true God is inside you. He created us. He controls the vibration frequency of your body, of your atoms, and all atoms. The science is they're only advanced so far. They can't really tell you what holds the atoms together. I say that's God. Your opinion, Me Sah.
I would agree with that. And this universe is held together by a vibration which is called love, but it's not human love. It's the only word that can come close enough to what that divine energy is. And when you connect with it, it's very, very different than human love. It's not the same frequency, but that frequency is what holds everything together and creates everything. And then the consciousness of the people on Earth, the consciousness of the beings that are part of this, they have their input, which then can change things. Because we're not living the way we were intended to live. Mankind did fall in consciousness. We are supposed to be living in quote unquote a heaven world, but we're not. Why aren't we? Because we felt we separated from that frequency of that original frequency called love. And as we fell, we became denser and denser and denser, not only in manifestation, ending up in the physical world, but also in consciousness, to where we have become separated from that frequency that is actually what keeps us alive. It's in us. We just have become very unconnected to it. Jesus was trying to show us how to get back to it. Because he was one with it. You look at me, you're looking at my Father. You're looking at me, you're looking at that which created me. What I do, you'll do, and you'll do even more, because I'm going to my Father.
That's right, and I've said that many times. Dr. Jake Wade agrees with us on that. Jesus said, "You can do what I do and more," simply because. And Jake loves my definition of love as our level of vibrational energy.
I love that too. It's so true, Clayton. It's so absolutely right on. Absolutely right on. So now is the time that we need to be reconnecting with that and to be uplifting this whole physical creation to get into that heaven world again.
It could, I did a poem also from this period when I was writing my first novels. It was called The Guest, and it was about a future where, again, the laws against victimless crimes had been abolished. In the fireplace, flames were snapping. Till a tapping stopped the rapping. Who could it be tapping on our door? Surely not the man anymore. Then a girl, carefully creeping through shutters, peeping, while chicks were sweeping hashish and ashes, pipes and stashes, frantically fled from the floor. Then a girl said, "It's fine, just a man of mine, a friend of mine." And they opened the door. A man like all the rest, a freak like all the rest, was there. His nose rose as the door closed. His hand reached inside his clothes. "Try some of mine. It's really quite fine, like nothing you've ever tried before." As I took his toke, no one spoke. The power of his presence cast a spell. And suddenly, insane, like a leaf in a hurricane, out of this plane we were torn. My guest I could see, steady and free. I cried, "How can this be?" Hang on here, hang on. I cried, "How can this be?" He said, "You can control the winds of destiny. You can be a leaf no more." As he turned to go, someone cried, "God, stay, I pray. Show us a way so in hell our souls won't burn." Your God doesn't care. My burden he doesn't share. Yet still of me you say beware. Of hell you shouldn't care. You can't go because you are there. And you stay till you pay. As I said before, you stay as men, not more.
Well, there's a message there.
Again, the theme here is that who we refer to as Lucifer wasn't a bad guy, just probably the most demonized entity in existence.
Well, Lucifer meant great light. He was a great light. The old metaphysical viewpoint was he was a great light that fell, but there's also that metaphysical thought that does talk about the great light that he was and does not demonize him. And that's pretty interesting. And
the Lucifer, the name of Lucifer has been tied to Satan, and I believe you're talking about two different entities. I believe Lucifer came back many times through DNA replication and could remember who he was, and I think Lucifer came back in one time period as somebody called Jesus.
I don't know about that, but I agree with you about Lucifer and Satan being two different individuals. And then there's been more than that that have come back on the dark side. And the Bible talks about some other names. There's some other names that are talked about. So there's more than the names that we're most familiar with. The Lucifer thing is very interesting. I would like to research that more because there's a mystery, I believe. Now, it's now, of course, defined as an evil energy as such, and but that could be just because a definition has been developed, over the eons. So that's an interesting topic.
Well, it's certainly interesting. The books are going to be interesting, and we are making progress here. This whole revolution that's happening right now. I mean, if you really think about it, how many people here have made it here? It's just incredible to me.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that have been awakened here. We are in tyranny, and I've been trying to tell people for years what happened in the Soviet Union is happening here right now. It's happening here, and they have killed. And Jake Wade and I talked about this yesterday. That Armageddon isn't a war exactly. And we have been in Armageddon for the last 100 years. We have killed more than 1 billion people, more than any time in history. 1 billion people have been killed in this last century by the wars.
I think we're in the time of Armageddon also, and I think that it's not. I think there might be a final battle of the war, but it's not the whole war. I think we've been in it for a long time too.
It is, and this has gone back thousands of years, folks. This has gone back thousands of years, and we are making a difference. We are making progress here. I'd like to say I think the Mayans could have been right. We're talking about 2012 being the end of the world. I think it's the end of the banksters world. I think that's what's happening. We don't, there's never been a time in history when it was easy to be free. Never. There are always those that want to steal. There's always those that want to control. There's always those that want to hurt you. And if you just raise your level of vibrational energy, you'll see it. You'll see it, and you can make a change. It doesn't have to go all over the world. It's not going to happen instantly. But look what happened in India when one man stood up, when Gandhi stood up.
That's right.
And he changed it. He broke the English rule. We broke the English rule. Now this is what I've got Alex Jones up on my website. And I don't care who he's married to. I don't care that his wife's a Jew. She's beautiful. She's beautiful, and she's been a big help to him. So more power to you, Alex. We're not going to sacrifice the Jewish grandmother that produced some bankers and doctors. We're not going to sacrifice them. We're not going to imprison or harm Alex's wife or his children. I'll be standing beside him, and I'll be protecting them the same way I would you or anyone else. And by the way, you Christians out there have been deluded. You have been infiltrated. If you're sending money to Hagee or any of those people, then you're helping the New World Order. You're helping the control of the churches have been used to control you for 2,000 years. What do you? In my opinion, they promoted Jesus to God because they didn't want you to know that you could do everything that He did.
Bingo. You got that. You got that right.
That's and folks, that's what's happening. Now, again, let me tell you again that tonight at the Heroes Cafe in Austin, if you're an Alex Jones follower, tell people about this because now Alex has been had me on the show and doesn't want to talk to me because he doesn't want to lose his advertising. Because I do talk about the Zionists, I do talk about the Jewish control of our money and our media, especially our media. This is the reason I started the Free American in 1994, was because of the way the media was talking about Waco, about the Christians and our government, our troops, our BATF, the same ones, the same BATF that blew up Oklahoma City to try to demonize people like me, the same BATF that supplied the guns that killed Brian Terry and the other Border Patrol agents out there, the same BATF that is controlled by the whole New World Order crowd, the same people that killed the ambassador in Libya to prevent him from exposing the looting of Libya, the looting of Iraq. And if you go up to my website, right above Alex Jones, you can see why we've been after Iran, why we're trying to go to Iran, why Israel is trying to instigate a war with Iran. They want to steal the oil. They want to steal the gold. They want to take control. So that's all happening, folks. That's all happening right now. And for this, too bad. Somebody's going, we're in Austin. I have to call them and tell them about the convict in the crowd. Yeah, I'm a convict. Yeah, I went to jail for marijuana. Yep, sure did. And that's going to change. That's going to change very shortly now. And that'll be at the Hills Cafe, 4700 Congress Avenue, Congress Street, South Austin. You want to come there? I'm there. I'll be there. And you can buy some of my books. Yeah, I'll sign the books.
I hope that some of the people watching will get your books, Clayton. They're going to get some good information.
Did you get a copy? I sent you a copy, didn't I?
I did. Read it all the way through.
Did you?
Good information.
How did I do? Matter of fact, Eli James is now talking to me again. I just sent books to the Netherlands. I just sent books out to some of his people, and I'll be supplying him with books again. He'll be on my show in a couple of days. He'll be on there, and we're going to be working together because they've gone after him trying to say he's a Jewish rabbi. I don't believe that. Any more than any more than I was sending money to a snitch named Huevos. I mean, that was the last lie they put out. They were trying to destroy me in Tucson. Well, guess what? It ain't going to happen in Austin. It ain't going to happen.
Truth is dangerous, you know.
You know, I had that happen. For 10 years, I put my picture in the front of my magazine, publisher's column in the magazine, and I walked into a bar in Socorro, New Mexico, and a guy came up and said, "You're Clay Douglas, aren't you?" I said, "Yes, I am. Yes, I am." And he said, I recognize you right away, man, because you put your picture in the middle of the magazine, in the front of the magazine. Why do you do that? It's my magazine. Why wouldn't I do that? Because people don't like what you've got to say. Yeah? Well, here I am.
Free country.
Here I am. Oh, no, not me. It's not, no, not me. They said, well, now you know why I put my picture in my magazine. And I tell you, we got all these trolls on here, you know. I have to call a 3-alarm fire at the restaurant where you're there, Con. Yeah, do that. You do that. You come there. See. You know? See.
Yeah. They got to be entertained, too.
Yeah, sure they do.
Yeah.
Okay, we extended this show a little bit. I'm going to extend it some more. Because it is working now. And I want to talk, what did we miss here? Let's repeat. One thing bears repeating here. The whole thing about the presidents knowing in advance when they were children that they were going to be president. Let's talk about that. Oh, well, never mind, because we just got another error here.
Okay.
Okay. All right, we're out of time. Me Sah, thank you. It's been wonderful. Everything will be up. All the links will be up, including the conversation with the alien at Roswell.
All right.
God bless you, folks, and take it easy. Thank you very much for listening. And send money. I can always use the help. FreeAmerican.com.